Okay, everybody, it's Wednesday again, and it's time for another YouTube Live from the Dreadnought Woodshop shop. Today, we're going to be doing a baby rattle with captured rings. My niece came by this past weekend, and she brought her little baby over, and she requested that I make the baby something she could chew on with her name on it. It's a little weird, but you know, that was the request. So I decided to make her a little baby rattle with captured rings because I've seen others do it online, and I've always wondered how that would go. So what I mean by captured rings, as you can see here on this goblet, you can see these two rings on here, and those rings are made. This whole thing is made out of one piece of wood, and those rings are cut loose in the process from the same tree, from the same piece of wood anyway. So we're going to figure out how to do that in just a bit. Well, we're going to figure out one way, because like everything in wood turning, there's several different ways to do anything. So what I'm actually going to be using is I'm going to be using the Robert Sorby captured ring tool here. I bought this in a kit, and it came with four different size cutters. This is the quarter. I think this is the 1/4 inch. Let's see. Yeah, that's the 1/4 inch, and then it also comes with, let's see, a smaller one at 3/16, and a little bit bigger one at 3/8, and the biggest one is a 1/2 inch, which is pretty monstrous for a captured ring. So it also comes with an Allen wrench that you'll use to rotate this, to rotate the cutter around as we work into the material. And it's interesting because, well, this tool is specially made. To be honest, I didn't really get a chance to read the brochure, because it talks about the way that the end where the cutter gets mounted is angled in such a way to make for a really easy cut. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say right off the bat that I'm not a professional with this particular tool. I've only had the opportunity to play with it a handful of times. So I'm still struggling to get my rings to match in the back, on the back side. So they're pretty good, but there's a little bit of a line right there on the back, if you can see that. And you know, that's okay, because you know, we're always learning in this shop. Every day is a school day, as my buddy George would say. So anyway, let's get down to it. I'm going to be using this piece of dry cherry that I got from my friend Kurt, and it's got a little bit of quite a bit of sapwood here. So I'm hoping that that we'll get a little, you know, that we'll get to have a little bit of that show up in our final project. So anyway, before I get started with that, I just want to let everybody know that I won't be doing a live next week, because I will be traveling with my family for the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be up in South Carolina for the majority of next week, definitely for Wednesday of next week. So I won't be doing the live next week. So anyway, let's get this camera switched around so that we can get started on our little project here. Welcome, Valerie and Melinda. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to mount this between centers. Now I went ahead and marked center already, and I used an awl to put a little indentation in the middle to try to get it as close to centered as I can get it. So I go ahead and mount this between centers. We'll do this whole project actually between centers. Okay. And the first order of business, we're going to take this from a square blank to a round one. Let's see here. Gonna make sure we got clearance at the tool rest. Make sure we're not hitting it. And let's grab some tools and get cracking. I'm gonna use my bowl gouge to rough this out. You could easily use a roughing gouge or a skew chisel, any number of things. Get the job done. Grab me a face shield. Always got to be safe. All right, and here we go. So I got the speed up a little high, up around 1200 RPM, and I'm be cutting off the wing of the gouge. You might have remembered before that I had. You may have remembered before that I had a little bit of clicking in the headstock. It looks like that's back, so I'll have to be dealing with that soon. So I apologize for the clicking. And here we go. Get in a little closer. Continue. There. Yeah, got a little bit of a flat right there, which doesn't really matter at this point, but I'll go ahead and take that off anyway. This baby rattle is one of those projects that's really nice because there's really no expectations on what this should look like. So you can pretty much make it look however you want it to look. Let's see. Grab me a spindle gouge. And I grab me a spindle gouge and I'm going to start to work on, I'm going to turn, on the ends, I'm going to turn a little bit of material down on the very ends to make a little bit of room so I can work on rounding the top and bottom or the two ends of the baby rattle. So I'm going to be making a series of V-cuts to start to waste away some of that material. And I think I may do that with my detail gouge. I'm about to speed up just a little bit. At this point in the game, I'm not really all that concerned about getting this down really small or even getting it down to the little bit that I'm going to have left over when I part it off. The main thing is I'm just defining the ends of the rattle. So now I got those two ends kind of headed in the right direction. Then I just have to decide how big I want the two ends of the rattle to be. Really, truthfully, I probably could have made this just a little bit longer. I think this one is about, see, I should have a ruler around here. Still getting used to the new setup since I moved everything. Here we go. I think this is around, yeah, that's right about 6 inches. I think I would have liked to have made it a little longer, but we're just going to work with what we got. Brickhouse Craftworks. Yeah, what are you making? Let's see. Yeah, this piece of cherry right here is going to be very nice. I got quite a bit of heart sapwood on this side. It's looking pretty good. And this is actually a very old piece of cherry that I got from my friend Kurt. He says it's been dry for a couple decades, so it should turn fairly nicely. So now what I'm going to do is decide what I want to do for the ends. So I don't need it to be very big, so I think I'm just going to come in right there. Start to shape it out just a little bit. I don't want to do a lot in the middle. I don't want to do a lot in the middle until I get my rings done. So I was going to turn just a basic idea of the shape for now. I'm not particularly concerned about the two ends being exactly even. So, all right. So the first thing we're going to use our captive ring tool, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to put it on in this orientation, and we're going to use this to mark the rings, to mark out the rings. So I'm shooting for 3. I'm going to leave all this waste material in the middle so that if I happen to mess a ring up, I can just cut that thing off and move down the blank a little bit. So I'm going to leave just enough. I'm going to leave a little bit of room on this side to work around it, because I'll eventually have to rotate this out and then work underneath it. So I want to have just a little bit of room. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this out. Now this is a scraper, so when we cut with it, we want to have the tool set just above center, and then we're going to lift the back end of the tool to cut down to center. So let's go ahead and mark this out. Okay, that's that one. And then come over here and leaving enough room to get in there and work on the ring. Start working on that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the parting tool. To waste away some of the material. So this is one ring here, and this is the other ring. So I'm going to waste away some of this so that I have some room to get down in there and hook around the back of the ring. So I got that side cleaned out, so I'll come over here and clean out this side over here. I'm actually leaving just a little bit of extra. I'm leaving a little bit of extra room to make sure that my the section that's left is wide enough. go ahead and clean out for this other side a little bit. Okay. Alright, now that we have marked these out, like I said, I left a little bit of extra room there on either side. So now what we want to do is we want to rotate, loosen this up and rotate this out. Oops. Like I said, still kind of new with this one, so I'm going to refer to the instructions. So we're going to rotate it out a little bit to have a little bit of an angle to start cutting, start getting in behind that, getting behind this material here. Alright, so then we're going to come in from the side. I think my tool rests a little low there. Pick that up just a little bit. So basically we're going to use that. We're going to start to form the ring on this side. We're going to rotate the tool out pretty much straight out with this edge here on the next step to hook all the way around the back, and then we'll flip it over and come from the other side. So we'll go ahead and do this other one. That didn't sound good. It sounded like I got some tear out in there, and I do. And like I said, this is some pretty nasty tear out from letting the tool go down too far. So hopefully I'll be able to cut that off. If not, like I said, got plenty of material here left to do take another go at it. Okay. Now, let me get my Allen key here, and then we're going to rotate this all the way out. So that it's essentially lined up with this edge right here. And then we're going to be able to cut all the way around to the back. Theoretically, anyway. I'm going to go ahead and sharpen up this edge right here. And sharpening these tools are very easy. Just take a diamond stone, lay it on the tool flat. Oops, sorry, I don't know if you can see that. But you just take a diamond hone, lay it on the tool flat, the top of the tool, a couple passes, good and sharp. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be cutting the way I would hope, so let me take a look at the instructions here, get some directions. I'm going to try presenting it parallel and see if that, or level and on center and see if that helps. Yeah, that'd be a big no. Now to finish the cut for the ring, you have to flip the tool over. So you have to take the cutter off the tool. And flip the tool over and the cutter. Oops. Put it back on there. Then you can cut from the other side. I'm just using the very edge of that to clean away a little bit of that extra material. And I come in. All right. And then we're going to rotate the tool straight, rotate it out so it's parallel with the bar, and we should be able to finish it off. There's one. Yep. I was wondering when that crack was going to give way. Alright, so we got one ring so far. So then we're going to go back. Now we're going to go and use some of this extra material to cut a second one. So I'm going to turn this tool back around. Go through the process a second time. Okay. So first we're going to mark out where we want the ring to go. Going to mark out for 2 of them, just in case. take a look at a couple of these questions over here. Let's see. Harold asked what speed the lathe is turning. Let's see. About 1400 RPM. Let's see. And Harold also asked what kind of finish do I use for this. Once I'm done with it, I just sand it up real nice, and then I give it a good coat of mineral oil, so that it's food safe and, you know, drill safe. And yeah, the tool does give a pretty smooth surface with very little sanding needed when you're really comfortable with it. I haven't got there yet. I'm working on it though. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to try to get these other two rings shaped up. Then I can show you how to get them out of the way so that we can shape the post between them. Let's see. So we can shape the post between them, and I'll show you how to sand the rings. So again, we're going to turn the tool out just at an angle so that we can start to get cut out behind. We can start to cut out behind the ring, get some of the waste out. One thing that I'm remembering all of a sudden is that I should have sanded the outside of this ring before I cut it loose. But whoops. Alright, and we're going to rotate it out straight. I'm going to flip this over, shape the other side, and this time I'm going to remember to sand it. So, I'm going to take this out. Not only do we flip that, like I said before, we're also going to flip the cutter. Try not to drop the screw in the shavings. So this is the ideal time to go ahead and sand it. Dip into my little repository of sandpaper over here. Probably heard me say this a lot. When you're sanding, you don't need to have the speed up real high. I usually get down to somewhere around 500 and 700 to sand. Sanding faster, all it does really is dull your sandpaper. This is the best time to sand these because, as you can see, this one's kind of got a mind of its own now. Alright, we're looking pretty good. Now for this one, it's not too late to sand it. What we can do is we can wrap, something around the spindle and make a friction chuck of sorts. I like to use masking tape. So I just build up a little bit of masking tape here to take up the space. Masking tape's cheap, so you know. Not quite enough there. And this is the worst masking tape ever. It always tears. But it does work for this purpose. And build that up a little bit so that I can get a little bit of friction on that ring to hold it in place. Then I can sand it. Okay. There we go. So now, we turn the lathe back on. Find the sandpaper I was using. Even though it's not holding it on there exactly straight, so that's okay. Yeah. Actually, let's do this. Let's twist it on a little bit. See if I can get it on there a little better. No, need a little more tape. You know, the other day I had somebody make a comment that I shouldn't go over the things that I'm not happy with on this channel, but you know, I like to think of these lives as kind of like just inviting you into my process and showing you kind of how things go, like in real life, because every project, I don't know of anybody who can honestly say that every project they touch comes out perfectly. And a lot of times on this channel, you know, I talk about how I work through an issue, and a lot of times that could be the difference between being able to finish the project and not is having different strategies to work through the issues you're having. So, this isn't, you're going to find that as you do more wood turning, there's different audiences there's different audiences you're going to cater to. So, the people that you're going to sell your work to, they may not be interested in this stuff. They may not be interested in, what you could have did better or whatever. And that's fine and understandable. But then you're going to have people that are going to, if you decide to have a YouTube channel or teach a class, you're going to have people that are very interested in the process. And it's very helpful to show that no matter how long you've been at this thing, that sometimes things don't go the way you plan them, and sharing with other people how you solve your problem, how you solve whatever problem you're having with the piece that you're working on. So that's kind of the idea behind these lives. So for any of you that wonder why I kind of go through all the different processes, that's why. So anyway, pretty much got this one. This one just isn't going to be all that I had hoped it to be, but it's okay. Because I'm really making it for a fictional baby anyway, so it's all good. Because my niece already has hers. And by the way, she loved that thing. She slobbered on that thing all night. And when her mother took it from her, boy, did she pitch a fit. It's all that matters. The customer's happy. So I go ahead and hit this with a little bit finer grit sandpaper here, because as you can see, sanding it after the fact is a pain. Okay. Alright, let's take a look at these. Much better. Okay. So now, since that one's already locked in there, I'm just going to leave it there. And I'm going to go ahead and close up my little treasure trove of sandpaper. And we're going to straighten this out a little bit more. Straighten this cutter out just a little bit more. And then we're going to go ahead and attempt to cut those last two rings loose. Hopefully without breaking them. Come back just a little bit on the rest. And here we go. Alright, there's one. Hopefully the other one will go as well. Alright. So there you go. Now we got 3 rings. I gotta say, those first two didn't come out quite to my liking, but these last two came out very nice. So maybe I'm getting the hang of this. Alright, so let's get all this tape off of here. It's gonna be fun. And then I'll show you how to cut the spindle in the middle. Maybe I should invest in better tape. It's ridiculous. There we go. Yeah. And get a knife. Assuming I can find a knife. Let's see here. Or, better yet, I'll just turn it off. Alright, see if we got any more questions over here. Harold asked if I was doing anything in the virtual craft show this Saturday. Unfortunately, no, because holiday travels. Actually, it turns out that I could have done it, but the plans we had at the time didn't allow for it, so no. Alright, so my tape isn't coming off. I was struggling with what to do about that, so I think I'm just going to cut it off with the tool. See how that goes. I wonder if any of you have ever wondered how tape would cut on the lathe. Let's find out. Oh, it looks cool. There we go. Now, away we go. Alright, let's pull the rest of this off of here. Okay, that's gone. So now I'm going to need some rubber bands. And I thought I saw a few up here. If not, I could take a short walk across the shop. Here's one. Okay, so with the rings, typically what I do to get them out of my way is I move them down to one end, and the ring in the front is the one that I tie down. So I just stick a rubber band, you know, folded underneath one of these, and then bring it through this side here. All right, and then what I usually do is just stretch it. I just stretch it around here, you know, kind of like that. It doesn't always work great, but most of the time it does. So I think what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to put a couple notches in the end of this thing with my handy dandy pull saw here to hold it, to hold the rubber bands in place. This is something I hadn't done before, but it sounds good in theory. Let's see how it goes in reality. So we got our rubber band here, so what I'm going to do is just pull this around like so, stick that in there, and that looks like that is going to work out pretty good. And what that's going to do is this ring is going to hold the rest of the rings that way so that I can turn down this part down here. And I'm going to proceed to work on that end down there. So as you can see, it holds everything on that end. So now I can come in here. And I come in here and I just need to start cleaning out. Need to start cleaning out this middle section. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm really just trying to make this section smooth enough so that I can put the rings on the other side. Let's see. So I can put the rings on the other side and work on this side. I'm actually going to get two rings because this little springy action right here is not making me happy. Okay, so since the ring hanging out there is not making me happy, I'm going to go ahead and put another one of these on this other side and do the same thing. Oops. Just roll it. Oops. I might be finding the limit of how far this one's going to stretch. There we go. Okay, so that should hold it back fairly well, and I can go ahead and I forgot I was using a rubber band there and broke it. It's okay. So I have lots of rubber bands. Okay. So I broke that one. That was garbage. So let's go ahead and pull this one off, and then we're going to move it to the other side so that we can work on this half. So I'll switch it up and we'll tie up this rubber band, or tie up this ring instead. Okay. And then I'll need another one. So this is one of them things that's kind of like a process. So it doesn't really, you know, I don't feel like it really takes that long to do the project, but it's just, you know, a lot of steps, and you got to do it, you know, kind of in the right order. But things should move along here shortly towards completion. So this is where you can start to shape the middle, you know, the post in the middle of this thing however you want. But I kind of wanted to take a look at this side because I have a little bit of a step there, which I really wasn't planning on having that there, but I guess I didn't really plan it out very well, so I'm going to put one of those on this side for the sake of consistency. And again, you know, it's just a rattle. So it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, perfectly the same. Let's see what we got. That looks pretty good. Okay. Look at one more thing. Let's see. Alright, so we got a little fillet there. Let's work on that. I'll make the shoulder just a little bit shorter. Now let's see what these two halves look like together. There's a little bit of a lump there, but I'm pretty happy with it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do my finish cuts on this side and start to sand it, and then yeah, so I'm gonna finish up this bottom detail and use my detail gouge to get in here and do my details in the middle. I thought about putting a little texture on this, but you know, because babies are going to be eating, you know, putting this in their mouth and stuff, I really don't want to leave a lot of room, a lot of places for bacteria to, you know, get in there and fester. So I'm going to resist the urge to do that. Alright. So now I'm going to tie all these things over to the other side, so that I can fair out this area here. Then I'm going to do some sanding, and then we're going to be getting ready to wrap this puppy up. Okay. So maybe if I just go through there, maybe that'll work. All right, I think that'll work. I'll do the same thing on this side. Probably would have been easier to do it before I tied it down, but that's okay. All right, so pull that through, and then we'll do the same thing over here. Hook up in those notches. Okay, I keep all that stuff out of my way. Then we can go ahead and clean up this side. Got little light passes, just to fair it up there in the middle. Alright. Okay. So now I just got to sand it, finish setting that detail in the top bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do the middle right now. And I'm going to show you how I sand the, then I'm going to show you how I sand the rings. Crank the speed down a bit. And go ahead and take care of all this. Harold asked if the gouge is titanium coated. Yes, it is. And it does make a big difference because titanium is a very small metal molecule, and it can be sharpened much sharper than high-speed steel or carbide. And because it's coated, the only place that really matters is right there between the top of the tool and the cutting edge. And right there on that very edge is where the titanium layer is. So when you sharpen it, you're actually sharpening the titanium coating, which gives you a very sharp, edge, cutting edge. So yes, it makes a difference. I think I'm gonna cut this. I think I'm gonna cut that step away, actually. Well, maybe not. As I remember the last cut rule. So anyway, we just go ahead and sand this up. So I'll do some quick sanding here, so I can show you how I part it off. And how to sand those rings also. Okay. All right. So now, sanding the rings. Here's what I do. So I take a little strip of sandpaper. In this case, this is 220. Yeah, that's about right. And then what I'm going to do is, because it rotates this way, I want that final edge to fold away. I don't want to fold into it, because as it comes around you'll be flicking this off. So what I need to do is I want it to go this way. Alright? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around there as tightly as I can. And then I'm going to take some of that masking tape. And I'm going to tape the ends of this so that they'll stay. So it'll stay on. You don't have to have a lot of this exposed. The rings aren't very big. Okay. And then I take my rubber bands loose. Okay. Alright. Take these off. And then I'm going to push them to the other side so that I can tape down this side of the tape. Tape down this side of the sandpaper. Okay? Yeah, you don't need to put a whole lot of tape, but probably a couple of passes to hold it. You don't want to use anything with any adhesives that leave residue behind, because if you do, then you're just going to be struggling to get that adhesive off. And so once you have that, turn your speed down, about 500 as usual, right? And then what I do is I just take the ring. I hope this is showing. Just take the ring. I go straight like so, and then I angle it a little bit and run it around. And this is 220 grit sandpaper. There's plenty, in my opinion, it's plenty smooth enough for this application here. So I just go around the rings just to clean up the back side, get rid of any burn marks, whatever. And you just, it's a little tricky with 3 of them because you're going to have them running all over the place, but you know, just take your time and get it done. Like I say, do the middle and then angle it a little bit to do one side of the inside there. And once you finish that side, angle it the other way and do the other side. It's a little fidgety. And then you can do a little inspection there. Make sure you got rid of all your burn marks and things, which this time I don't have a whole lot of them. Usually I do. Okay, so, and then just whatever way you can, get hold of them, tame them things. Alright, and you don't want to be hanging out in one spot too long, because it'll just take all the grit off the paper. So you want to be moving around the whole time you're doing this. And if you get little rings inside where the 2 cuts didn't meet perfectly, this is a great way to fix it. where the the two cuts from each side didn't meet exactly. It's a good way to fix it. Now, when I made my niece's, I guess she's my great niece. When I made her rattle, I used a 3/8 inch cutter, and I just didn't feel like it was quite nearly as nice as these, as they don't make a lot of noise. But these, I also worry that maybe they might break off. So I'm gonna squeeze them a little bit and make sure, they're not prone to breaking. Nope, looks like they're pretty good. All right. So now that we have those sanded, we can peel this off. Then we can give the middle bit a little bit more sanding. And then we can part it off. See, how am I doing on time? A little over. But we don't have much left to do, so it's all good. So I'm going to go back with this 220 and we'll do a little bit more cleanup in the middle. Now, if you want to obsess over having both ends be exactly the same, you could do that. Me personally, I'm not all that concerned about it because, truthfully, babies won't notice. I have that on good authority. And you can make these, the ends of this thing, you can make them whatever shape you want. I just went with a simple kind of mushroom cap kind of shape. Okay. You're going to do as much of the sanding as you can now. This is one odd shape. This is a very oddly shaped project, and it would not be fun to sand after the fact. So now I'm going to part this off, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut these ends down as small as I can. The smaller I can get these nubs down, the less sanding I'll have to do. So I'm going to use a bowl gouge to waste away the majority of this material out here. Make it a little easier to work. If this looks a little close to the drive centers on camera, it is. Even for me, it's a little sketch. So I'm going to go back and try to clean this up just a little bit, saving myself from having to do a whole bunch of sanding later. Okay. This yellow thing is just one of those rings that keep your chuck from getting stuck on there, to make it easier to take it off when you need to. I didn't leave enough room there, so not feeling too comfy cutting it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use my handy dandy pull saw here, and I'm gonna cut it off, leaving a little bit of extra material there. And cut away a little bit on this side, and then come to the other side and cut away a little bit. Okay, and a little bit more over here. Just cutting very gently. Okay. There we go. Loosen this up. Twist that off. The other side already came off. Then I'm going to grab my power sander. Oh, right here. Grab my power sander. I just use my power sander to clean up these sawed off faces. That side's going to need a little bit more sanding to get it where I'd like it to be. Alright, but for the most part, there you go. A baby rattle. Yeah, trying to get in the, there we go, in the shot. Okay. Alright. Okay. So there you go. You got a little baby rattle here with 3 captured rings, all made from one piece of wood. My niece was asking how I made this, so hopefully she's watching, or maybe she'll watch the replay and see how it's done. This thing's been in the wrong place all this time. So, oops, wrong direction. There we go, better. All right, so anyway, there you go. So there's that. You know, could take a little bit more time and, you know, get a little bit fancier with it, a little bit more details, whatever, but this is the basic project. And then, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'll probably do a little bit more sanding. I didn't do as much on the lathe for the sake of time as I usually do. So I'll sand it a little bit more, and then I'll put several coats of before you put the mineral oil on, it's probably a good idea to wet this down a bit and let it dry. And then, man, I am terrible with this, getting in front of the camera. So anyway, put some water on it and let it dry, and then go back and sand it a little bit more to raise the grain. And then once you've done that, then a couple of coats of mineral oil, or you can put it in a mineral oil bath and let it absorb as much as it can, and then you just pull it out and wipe it off, and it's ready for service, you know. And for my great nieces, I used a wood burner, and I put her name up here just as a little added touch, because the request was to make something with her name on it that she could chew on. And it doesn't really show here because I don't have any finish on it, but the little bit of sapwood is kind of cool because the rings are lighter on one side than the other, and so is the two ends of the piece. So anyway, let's see if I got any questions. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Jason, for the compliment. Yeah, so these are a lot of fun to make. Obviously, if you want to fancy it up a bit, you could go with a goblet instead, using the same tools and techniques. I think that's a slightly, nope, actually, that's the same size ring, just a smaller diameter. So anyway, this can be useful. I've seen people do very small ones on finials, which is crazy because I like doing finials. Maybe that's something I'll try in the near future. So anyway, actually, like I said, I'm not going to be doing a live next week, and I don't want everybody to think that this is only a wood turning channel. Next week, in the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing introducing some other types of projects and tips and things like that. One of the videos that will be coming up shortly is going to be a video on chucks and jaws and work holding. I'm pretty excited about that one. In fact, I have a new chuck that's on its way that I'm going to be able to show when I do that. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming out and hanging with me in the shop today, and I'm running a little bit over, but I'm always, I'm not timely in this thing, so there's that. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Remember to dread not and make something. Get out in your shops, make some dust, make a mess, have some fun, and see you next time. Thanks. Never can get that outro just right.